So in the last video, I reviewed briefly what we are being doing up to this moment: psychoanalysis, behaviorism, and humanistic psychology. So while I keep doing this research and these talks, I find different things and make different connections, but all of them they are focused on the same idea, like creating a background, a context, in order to be able to understand what I'm trying to explain or to realize. So I want to talk about the concept of adaptation under a light that is really important because it defines what the meaning of adaptation in a different context. So for adaptation, in psychoanalysis, we have the idea of the superego. The superego is the element that it will control. It's going to be like, it's called consciousness. But this consciousness is the consciousness that we talk, for example, when a psychopath doesn't have a consciousness, a conscience. So it goes and kills people and they don't feel anything. And, and they don't also have remorse and guilt and different things. But this is not the topic now. But when we talk about consciousness in the other way, it's a consciousness in terms of awareness of that we are alive, like the awareness of let's call it the awareness of matter on itself, or of reality on itself. Reality can see itself through human eyes, probably through other eyes as well, but we are not really certain about that. So between adaptation and self-realization is this dialectic dichotomy that we are been discussing lately. And adaptation to what? When we talk about adaptation, it's adaptation to reality. But what is this reality? This reality is civilization. Now, civilization, what is civilization? There are two in the modern world, in the world we live in. And with this idea of globalization, it's like overriding the whole planet. And this is a process we are living today, connected with postmodernity or the computer age or the digital age that we're talking about now. So this is adaptation to civilization. It's not. Psychology insists in the terms that you have to be adapted in order to be able to be healthy, mentally healthy, and that's an interesting thing because this adaptation has two legs. The Judeo-Christian leg, which is based, on the Bible and particularly in the Ten Commandments, but also we have the second one who apparently displaced, but religion, because we live in a secular world after the Enlightenment and everything else that we have discussed already, and but they coexist. So as a set of values, the value of Christianity and the value system of Darwinism or evolution. Now, Darwinism and evolution have moved through different stages. But before I go there, let's see what are the definitions for civilization. Civilization is defined as the Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines as one, a relatively high level of cultural and technological development, specifically the stage of cultural development at which writing and the keeping of writing records is attained. B, 1b, the culture characteristic of a particular time or place. Number 2, the process of becoming civilized. Number 3a, refinement of thought, manners, or taste. 3b, a situation of urban comfort. So, what is to be civilized? To be civilized, according to the same dictionary, says civilized is marked by well organized laws and rules about how people behave with each other, polite, responsible, and respectful, pleasant, and comfortable. Comfortable. So that's what we have on the one hand. And in this other dictionary, uh, let's say what are the synonyms of civilization: advancement, development, education, progress, acculturation, breeding, civility, cultivation, edification, elevation, enlightenment, illumination, polish, refinement, social well-being. And what are the antonyms? Decline, decrease, retreat, retrogression, stoppage, distraction, ignorance, rudeness, barbarism, and primitiveness. So, who are defining this? Who are defining civilization? Obviously, people in the civilized world. So, people that has been socialized in this world. So, civilization versus non-civilized, and history versus prehistory. It's really standing on its own legs in its own feet, but who knows what happened before. In a future video, I'm gonna speak about a book written by Jack Forbes, deceased professor, Native American professor from the United States. He wrote a very interesting book that is called Columbus and Other Cannibals. So in this book, he developed an interesting theory about civilizations and the conquest of America. But let's go back to our topic. So since we have this adaptation, what we have behind the concept of adaptation is the concept of evolution. And what is behind the concept of evolution? Behind the concept of evolution is Darwinism, Charles Darwin, social Darwinism with Spencer, and eugenics, created in London by Francis Galton Darwin, a second cousin of Charles Darwin. So, what we can make of this? What we can make is this: adaptation is not only that this human person will adapt to the environment, social environment in this case, because the natural environment is almost overridden by civilization and modernity. So basically, this adaptation will be an adaptation of the process of evolution. Now, what is this process of evolution? This process of evolution becomes really conflicted, really complicated since eugenics, because eugenics, the whole idea of eugenics, which was born in England, then moved to the United States, to California, and to Long Island. And there is a number of people that were very hard on that. And then it went to Germany, and it was used extensively in Germany, as you probably are very aware of that. And part of the eugenic process was the elimination of mentally retarded people, or people with disabilities, and homosexuals, and Jews and gypsies, and different breeds and different people. So eugenics, it's basically the framework where Darwinism, social Darwinism, play their role. And it means that humans, not any humans, some particular humans in this pyramid will take what they think should be the traits that we should keep for humans to continue in this life. So this adaptation is not just a simple adaptation of us to an static world, but it's an adaptation to a program, an ideological program, a program that believes all the things that civilization has mentioned, but in reality, as you can simple see, we are having more problems, more mental illnesses, more cancer. Bees are dying, chemtrails are all over the place in the sky, more stress, more psychologists, more psychiatrists, etc., etc., etc. And so they completely contradict the definition of civilization. And when they talk about primitivism or barbarism, if we remember, Christopher Columbus was received by the Indians with honor, with affection, with openness. So, and Columbus yet got here and started killing the people and naming their ways of life as primitive and so on and so forth. So we have a paradox here, and this paradox is really meaningful because this paradox connects us to this world that we have to adapt to be normal. So up to what point this normality is healthy for us? And to what point this normality allowed people to become fully developed as Abraham Maslow said, self-actualization, self-actualize. So it seems that this is a big problem and we have to address it. Who am I to address this point? I'm nobody. I'm just a guy talking on the internet with some knowledge here and there. But a man can do a thing if there is not consciousness in both terms, in terms of awareness and in terms of doing the right thing. If we don't have that, basically this is a lost battle and maybe a lost war. But this lost battle and lost war is not a lost battle of lost war like in Marxist terms of a class that is fighting for justice and for food and for beauty. No, it's the struggle of whole humanity, because for a reason that is not very clear but seems to be connected with entitlement and blindness, the guys who are creating the situation live in the same house. They live in the world. So if the world is polluted, they're gonna be polluted no matter how good their air conditioning systems are. If the world is all GMO, these people will have to start eating GMO as well. So um, this is probably the beginning of a new series of talk, and we need to address this point in terms of how much we can collaborate or not collaborate with this, or if we have any alternative for mental health and happiness. That's what it is.